Hello everyone, and this is the third episode of my GeoGuessr Tips for Beginners series where I teach you to recognize countries in GeoGuessr, and today we are learning about Europe. So, since Europe does have so many countries, I can't do it all in one episode, and I'll be dividing it into two parts, so Western and Eastern Europe, and I will be actually starting with Eastern Europe because I do live in Estonia. And I would say Estonia is Eastern Europe, so, I'll start with that. And the first country, I think, will actually be Estonia. Let's go into full screen here, and so the flag of Estonia, you can see that, not too often, but sometimes when you do see it, it can be useful, obviously. .ee is the domain. Yeah, you can see it more often than some other countries, for example. I don't know what, for example. Anyway, you can see that quite often. Driving on the right, the signs look like this as well. The Plunkett shows that quite well. Plunkett.net is the website where I am reading all these guides, and I will link that in the description of the video as well, so you can just take a look at the guides yourself. And Estonia only has Gen 3 and Gen 4, but both are quite common, so you really can see both. So, as most of the countries in this video, and also the Western Europe video, you can see the EU little strip here, the blue strip on the left. Some countries not, but in most of the countries you will always see it. Estonian bollards, though, look like this. Just a moment. This is what they look like here. Because, obviously, I have one in my room. Obviously. So they kind of have this round shape. There are really similar ones, for example, the German one and Latvian one, Finnish, and a lot of European bollards, but this one does look quite different from the other ones because it's round like this. Estonia does use a lot of different poles, and one thing that I just like to say about Estonian poles, they're really flipping ugly. So if you see really ugly poles, you're probably in the Baltics or Russia, because you can see some quite beautiful poles, I would say, in some other, for example, European countries or North American, or pretty much anywhere else other than the Baltics and Russia. So these square concrete poles, and they can be with these diagonal supports, so they're called A-frame poles. This, a lot of different poles. You can't really learn them too much. You can get round wooden poles, concrete poles, sometimes even metal poles. Not really. For like these utility poles, you don't really get metal poles. But trident pole. You can see it. Not too common, I would say, but you can see that for sure. Metal cap on top. I don't know about that. Haven't really noticed that ever, but I guess that must be true then. But I don't know how useful it is. It can also be found in Latvia, but not Lithuania, I guess. Okay, well that's a good tip then. And often these short dashers, outer road lines, Sweden also pretty much always uses those. And Estonia not always. Red chevrons with white arrows, Russia, Ukraine, and Latvia and Lithuanian are the other way around. White with red arrows, as we will be seeing quite soon. All Baltic countries, they pretty much use the same counter marker, but you can just read this yourself if you like. But it can maybe be quite hard to memorize these ones because, they're pretty much the same things, just arranged a little bit differently. The sign borders are really useful. So we're talking about that maybe right now even, so I don't have to go over that with the other Baltic countries. So Estonia has quite thin red borders. Well, if we do have this red border. There are other signs, of course, which don't look like this at all, but yeah, if there are signs that have kind of a red border at all, it's gonna be quite thin in Estonia, or like this, well, still quite thin, I would say, and it extends all the way to the edge of the sign with no little white outline. Because if you take the signs in Latvia, let me just really quickly find it already. It's quite a thick red border, but it has a little bit of this white thin outer line around it. And also in Lithuania you have quite thin red borders like Estonia, but you also have the white outline around it. Estonia once again. Do we have anything else? Yeah, normal A-type guardrails that look like this. I can just really quickly show you the A-type guardrail. Looks like that. B profile, A profile. Okay, A profile, B profile, and B profile thin basically. Well, you can see it looks a bit different. Not gonna be talking about the reflectors, but yeah, Estonia never has reflectors in the guardrails, which the other Baltic countries can, but not always. Yeah, Estonian pedestrian signs have 3 stripes, like, for example, yeah, Lithuanian, also the same, and Russia is the same, Ukraine, again, this kind of area is pretty much all of those countries. It's the same. But, what was that sound? Okay, I don't know. In Lithuania, basically you can just, in Lithuania and Russia, Ukraine, those signs look different from the Estonian one because it's just kind of, they all look a bit less detailed. The Estonian man walking here looks really detailed. He's got shoes and the head is attached as well. Estonian bus stops, 4 windows on the bus here. So in Latvian, let's have 5. But yeah, Lithuania is the same as Estonia. It's kind of blue and white signpost wrapping thing. They're also common in Finland, Sweden, I guess. So yeah. Yeah, definitely see a lot of those. And Estonian, the main thing that you can see is this this letter. It's pronounced an U. Sounds a bit weird. And yeah, this is completely unique to the Estonian language, and I guess it's also in Portuguese actually. But well, it's pronounced differently in Portuguese, but the letter that looks like this also exists in Portuguese, but it looks, well, the language looks really different. And yeah, these letters you can also see, I think, all of them in Finnish. But yeah, in Baltic languages, all of these are unique to Estonian. But yeah, the other Baltic languages do look quite different anyway. Yeah, these kind of, also these street signs kind of common in Estonia that just look like this, but the words tänav and tee are, yeah, only in Estonia. In Finnish there are, yeah, TN is also tänav abbreviation. And yeah, in Finnish there is TIE, this, yeah, I don't know how you pronounce that. Well, anyway, you can see that in Finland, but it's different, just a bit. Oval-shaped blue house numbers, I guess so. You can also find it in Russia. I don't know how useful that is actually. Yeah, Estonian architecture, you quite often see this kind of white brick. I think that's even a bit more common in the kind of southern area, but you can see it pretty much everywhere. And yeah, wooden buildings are also quite common. Yeah. These directional signs just look like this. You can just remember kind of the way they look. They will look pretty much the exact same. Always. This green blur, so let me just open this. I know this is not the best example. Well, it's quite a good example. You can see the sky is just kind of weirdly green. Well, the sky should be blue, but for some reason it's slightly green in Gen 3 coverage only, not Gen 4. Let's just pick this for example as well. Yeah, you can see it quite well. Looks kind of green, the sky, even though the Estonian Estonian sky, if I look up to the sky right there, No, it's not green at all. But in Gen 3, for some reason, it is a bit green. And yeah, there is quite a bit of kind of rural roads in Estonian coverage, which is different from the other Baltic countries. And yeah, I don't know why they did so many rural coverage, but I mean, don't mind if I do. I do like that it exists in Estonia. And obviously, just something that they didn't mention, can I see that here as well? The Estonian white flower meta. Well, these are not the exact, well, pretty much something like that, the Estonian white flower meta. If you see these white flowers that look pretty much exactly like those there, and a lot of them, I mean, it doesn't actually mean you're in Estonia, but if you do want to kind of seem like a pro that knows all the GeoGuessr stuff, I mean, if you see white flowers, click in Estonia, even if it looks like Argentina, or I don't know. Yeah, Latvia. Also, only Gen 3 and Gen 4. But Gen 4 is a bit more common, don't know about that. I would say you can see Gen 3 just as commonly in Latvia as in Estonia. Again, pretty much the exact same license plates as Estonia through the blur anyway. Yeah, this is the flag.lv. I would say .ee in Estonia is a bit common, but you can see that sometimes, so I would say learn it still. Yeah, drawing on the right as every single European country does other than Ireland, UK and Malta. And I think Cyprus drives on the left as well, actually. But well, Cyprus doesn't really have coverage, just a bit. Don't really see that on maps, I would say. Latvian bollards, again, pretty much the same thing as the Estonian bollard, but it's just this thin. So it's kind of this, well, slightly curved out. It's not kind of a round shape, just, well, you know what I mean. It's hook-shaped insulators on poles. Yeah, you can see it in pretty much every single other Eastern European country as well, actually. But in Latvia and also some other, I think Bulgaria and maybe Croatia, maybe. Just yapping, and that's not true at all. But I feel like, yeah, I mean, you can see it in quite a bit of different countries. Yeah, this is the chevron, but these countries mentioned here do use the chevrons other way around. Here you see the kilometer marker. I already talked about signs here. Pedestrian signs, 5 stripes, as I did say already, and 5 windows on the bus, as I said already. Sometimes white or red reflectors. To be honest, I have not learned any of the reflector colors on European guardrails, and wouldn't really say I feel like I need to learn them too much. But just remember that in Estonia you never see any reflectors here, but if you see them, it's just not in Estonia. Latvian, these are the kind of unique letters. I didn't even know you cannot see those in the Lithuanian language. Interesting. Did not know that, but I guess that's actually good to know. The Latvian word for street is iela. Don't know how to pronounce that. If there are any Latvians watching this video, you can tell me. Maybe it was right. I don't know. Gia Peter, maybe. If you're watching this, probably not, but yeah. And Latvian house numbers, don't know about that. Architecture quite similar to Estonia, but you can maybe slightly see the difference. And the Latvian signs, the kind of text is a bit different from the Estonian one, and also the arrows are slightly different. Lithuania. Only Gen 3 and Gen 4, but you can see Gen 3 a bit more often, I would say, than it looks like on here. Again, the exact same European license plate. These kind of bollards, wedge-shaped. So again, they're pretty much the same as the German bollards. Well, they are actually pretty much exactly the same as the German bollards, but yeah, if you see this orange reflector, that's, I think, kind of unique. They can also support beam again. Yeah, you can see the A-frame poles, and yeah, they're really common in Estonia as well, but you can see them in all Baltic countries pretty much. These kind of pole tops, again, quite ugly, I would say. White chevrons, usually red outline, which I guess is quite useful to know. Already talked about the road numbers, already talked about that again. Has reflectors, Estonian doesn't have any reflectors, orange. That's, I think, quite easy to remember actually, because also the Lithuanian bollards sometimes have orange reflectors. And yeah, 3 stripes on the pedestrian sign, but the man here walking looks a bit different from the Estonian one. Bus stops, 4 windows on the bus, and these are the unique letters. Well, they're not completely unique, but in the Baltic languages they are completely unique. Yeah, in actual Estonian words you won't see the Y letter, but you can see it in some texts sometimes, but not in actual Estonian words as written here. And the Lithuanian word for street is gatve, often abbreviated as G. Sorry about that. Yeah, and Google Maps is also abbreviated as G. And that's didn't know this. Interesting. And yeah, a lot of Lithuanian place names end in AI. AI? What? What am I doing? Anyway, yeah. AI, the words and the place names, a lot of things can end in AI. Lithuanian architecture, pretty similar again to the other Baltic architecture stuff. Lithuanian directional signs, blue with white text, so they are pretty similar to Estonian ones, but maybe you can see the difference, and obviously the place names look really different. Yeah, a bit less forest, probably, but yeah, in Gen 3 you can sometimes see these random small blurs. I don't know why, but for some reason. Let's actually do Belarus, because it's a really interesting one, this. It's only got tracker, this is the flag, this is the domain, I don't know how commonly you see that. Driving on the right, these signs are a bit weird, did not know that it's like yellow here. But yeah, only tracker coverage in the capital, and like, I mean, there's really not a lot of it. So there's just a bit of spill coverage from Russia, but yeah, the actual coverage is only in the capital of Minsk, and there's really little part here as well, so I don't know why they even did it. So it's got the historic part of the city. I don't know why exactly they even did the coverage, but anyway, it looks quite beautiful, the city, the part that they covered, at least, I would say. Well, just you can take a look at this, the Russian kind of language, these street signs, this pavement. Yeah, I mean, not really a lot to talk about. It's got quite an easily recognizable vibe, I would say. Still Poland, why not? Again, just the standard European license plate. This is the flag.pl. You can see that, yeah. The signs are really special here. I think they will be mentioned later on here, so I'll not talk about that right now. Driving on the right, and there's a bit of Gen 2 even, but yeah, mostly just Gen 3 and Gen 4, mostly you will see Gen 4. So the bollards look quite special. You don't really see the same ones anywhere else, other than maybe New Zealand, but I mean that's a bit different. And also, yeah, one thing that I also noticed is that you can see that a bit in kind of this area of Ukraine. Well, it's kind of bordering Poland, so you can remember that. So it will still be quite close. Sometimes you see holy poles, a lot of different poles as well, not as ugly I would say as the Baltic poles. All white road lines, yeah, as most of Europe. Yeah, there's double middle lines that look like this. In Denmark and Greece especially, you can also see that. Square B-type, yeah, normal B-type guardrails. Yeah. These signs, a really thin red border and yellow here in the middle. I don't know why they do it like that. It looks kind of weird, but yeah. These kind of signs as well with this red border, so I guess it looks kind of similar to the Latvian one. Pedestrian sign, really unique. You don't see that anywhere else, I don't think. Well, not exactly the same one at least. This horizontal line here, single horizontal line. Yeah, green background on signs. You don't really see it in any other European countries, I don't think. In some types of signs you can see it in a lot of countries. Well, street signs, for example, you can see that in Estonia, for example, as well. The town entry signs, they sometimes kind of have this red kind of cross thing on here if going out of the town, but this is the town entry sign. Chevron is the same as Latvia and Lithuania, which we already talked about. A lot of Europe does this style. Also Argentina, as I talked about in the last episode. Yeah, Polish, really recognizable language. Don't think I really need to talk about that too much, but just this letter, this L, with a stroke through it. Yeah, a lot of roads that are lined by rows of trees. Yeah, Polish architecture, again, kind of looks like a bit of Central European, bit of Eastern European kind of stuff here. Don't know about this. Not too sure if that's even really true. Ukraine, also Russia. I'm not gonna be doing Russia in this episode. I think I'm gonna be doing that for an episode for Asia. Yeah, Ukraine. So this is completely country specific, that is not commonly shared with Russia, the matters. So yeah, the license plates do look slightly different in Ukraine than, well, really any other country. Sometimes you have this kind of big Ukrainian flag stuff thing here, which you can see sometimes through the blur. This one you don't really see it through the blur. Yeah, you always see, well, most of it. Well, anyway, you can pretty much always see that it was done with a red car, which you don't, I think, ever get in Gen 3. In Russia, it only has Gen 3. There's the flagged domain and on the right, which I didn't mention before. But yeah, Russia, you can sometimes see the red brake light in Russian coverage, so you can maybe mix that up. But yeah, but there are quite a bit of different notes here. Only Gen 3 in Ukraine again. Only Gen 3. And yeah, also some different cars, but not really any of them are something that you will see like often. Pretty much always you just have the red car or you don't see the car at all. Yeah, Ukraine has really bad road quality. Kind of looks like this and can even look a bit worse, but some roads can look better as well. Yeah, also that's really interesting that a lot of different things here, roadside objects, can be painted the colors of the Ukrainian flag. That's, I would say, quite a cool thing here. So these are the unique letters. These are the unique letters. Cyrillic script, obviously. So the Ukrainian word for street is vulitsa, which is just a bit different from the Russian word of ulitsa. It's abbreviated ul in Russian and vul in Ukraine. So yeah, obviously you don't really ever see like this in Ukrainian signs, so you can just either kind of learn this and this to read those, or you can learn to read the Cyrillic script, because if you want to be a really good player, at some point you're gonna have to do that. Yeah, the Ukrainian word for city is Mista. I don't know, maybe that pronunciation was wrong, but abbreviated just M. And yeah, in Russian, the word is gorod, and it's abbreviated as just the letter G. White tonnage signs, and Russia usually uses blue ones. I'm not gonna talk about these. It's got this Poland, chevrons, this pedestrian sign, yeah. And the architecture often looks, well, quite ugly, if we're being completely honest here. And you know what, I just realized, I think I'm actually gonna do 3 episodes for Europe even. So, Eastern Europe, then kind of Northern and Western Europe, and then Southern Europe as well. Because it will take too much time if I did it in 2 episodes. So, I'm gonna do for now also Slovakia, Hungary. I'll actually leave these here for Southern Europe as well. And yeah, the kind of Balkans here as well. So these countries I'll also do today. Slovakia, yeah. Mostly Gen 4, but you can also see Gen 3. This flag.sk, you can see that quite often, I would say. Driving on the right, these bollards that are the exact same as Czechia. Yeah, this special type of type B guardrail, which is, well, a bit different. Looks a bit different, as I already talked about before. I'm not gonna talk about poles here too much. Thick base, I don't know about that really. And yeah, white with red arrows, the chevrons. Yeah, you can see this as well. This kind of weird antenna with the tape there, but you can see it in a lot of other countries as well. This is the language, just looks like the kind of general Czech, well, Slavic language. Just, yeah. Yeah, in Slovakia you can see kind of big mountains often. In Czechia, I don't think you really ever see kind of actual big mountains, but it can be really flat as well. In Slovakia, these signs that are, well, pretty much the same as Czechia, but yeah, it's a bit different, I guess. Well, yeah, also the kind of sign border, I don't know how useful that is. Green and blue signs. In Slovakia, I mean, the Plunkett guide doesn't look too good in here. You don't really have any good methods. Slovakia, you just kind of have to get the vibe. You just see some language or something. So, ulica, written like this. In Hungarian, it would be utca, UTCA. But it's the same in Czechia. I think, wait, no. I don't know. I mean, I'm really also not too good at at Slovakia and kind of Czechia stuff, so I'm not really qualified to talk about this too much. Kind of general signs, 5 stripes here on the pedestrian signs. Yeah, quite bold font here. Window shutters. Oh, well, more learning stuff here. To be honest, I really don't really see anything Hungary. Oh, really? I did not know that. Yeah, just really don't see anything here that I would like to talk about. Slovakia is quite a hard country to recognize. Gen 2 in Hungary did not know that. This is the Hungarian flag.hu, driving on the right, and Gen 3 and Gen 4, and maybe do get some Gen 2, maybe. The red reflector on the bollard. Kinda unique to Hungary. Again, general European license plates, sometimes really rarely, I guess you can see the yellow plates as well. Sometimes you see the holy poles, but I wouldn't say they're too common. Wait, no, we're talking about Hungary. What am I doing? In Hungary, holy poles are really common. Yeah, in Hungary they are really common. And yeah, there are some differences with the Romanian holy poles, where the holy poles are also really common. Maybe even a bit more common, I don't know. White and red, so the same as Estonia. The chevrons, or Russia, or Ukraine, or, well, yeah. The Hungarian language has a really unique look. I think just take a little bit of a look at this and you can recognize it. The utca, or UT, street. These kind of green kilometer markers that are really low down to the ground. See that in Hungary, that's actually quite a useful thing, I would say. Don't know about the sign stuff here, but it's an interesting thing that green kilometer markers that look like this, that are really low, they're really low here, down to the ground again, but the signs that look like this, these signs are a bit taller than maybe usual. And you can see 5 or, I guess, 4 stripes as well sometimes. But yeah, usually you do see 5 stripes here. This is the kind of highway shield design here, which is actually kind of recognizable. All of this green or blue signs. Yeah, sometimes you do see the grey flag thing again, but you do see that in a lot of other kind of Balkan countries, or in that area at least. Yeah, it was taken during winter, a lot of the Gen 3 coverage, so can kind of look like this, but also in Czechia and Bulgaria you can also see that. Red tiled roofs, so in Romania, if you see kind of actual tiles on roofs, you're also normally kind of closer to Hungary. And bicycle lanes, I mean, don't really see bicycle lanes too much at all in Hungary. So I'll leave Croatia for Southern Europe, and I'll actually leave Czechia for Western as well. Serbia. Serbia only has Gen 3, nothing else. A lot of different bollard designs. But yeah, this bollard that is really similar to the kind of... to see quite a similar one in Russia as well, actually, but also in Austria and Slovenia. You see this one, but here is an off-center the reflector, and most of them actually have the off-center reflector, so I don't know why they've done that. Looks quite ugly. B-profile guard rails, interesting chevron here. License plates, yeah, they look kinda green, and you don't really see them ever, but sometimes I guess so. And yeah, you will get the blue strip on the left, even though I'm pretty sure Serbia is not in the EU. Yeah, Serbian is kind of unique to... These letters are unique to... What am I doing? Most of the cards in Serbia was taken by a Google card with no antenna. Yeah, I guess so, but you can see the antenna as well sometimes. Montenegro. Yeah, again, I don't think they're in the EU, but there is the blue strips. Sometimes maybe you can see the coat of arms thing, but not really. Only Gen 3, the one on the right, as every single European country does pretty much, as I already said. But yeah, this is also similar to the Slovenian one. I always forget that, but I mean, try not to forget it. These kind of weird chevrons as well. Yeah, guardrails in Montenegro, but also Albania often are kind of rusted like this, so they look really ugly. And yeah, you can see both A-type and B-type guardrails, but I don't even know which one is more common. I guess B-type probably is a bit more common still. Yeah, poles and rifts in the sky. Also, you can see those in Albania and sometimes in a lot of other countries. For example, even Senegal. I mean, Senegal obviously does look really different, but remember that. Albania. Yeah, actually, Albania does sometimes really can see these red strips on the left side of the plate, but sometimes you don't just see the European plate with the blue on both sides, which is the same as Italy. Also, rifts in the sky in Albanian coverage were pretty much the same as Montenegro, but I would say they're a bit more common in Montenegro, and sometimes also, just remember this, they're not always in the sky, so if you don't see rifts in the sky, don't rule out Montenegro or Albania. It can still be either of those. Yeah, this is an interesting bollard, only in Italy and Albania. The kind of infrastructure stuff in Italy and Albania is quite similar. So yeah, this bollard that does not have this white top thing here, but it just ends with the black thing. Not gonna talk about poles really. Yeah, Albanian chevrons, again, same as Italy and even some other countries in Europe as well. White on black. Yeah, the road signs sometimes painted black, the backs of the signs. Not always, so yeah, you can see that definitely. I don't know what the S-shaped thing, stop signs. Yeah, these guardrail endings, again, infrastructure stuff in Italy and Albania, pretty much the same thing. Albanian language is, yeah, pretty unique, I would say. You can definitely see that it's gonna be Albanian, not any other. You don't see the Cyrillic script ever in Albania. The Albanian word for street is Ruga. Quite a mountainous country. You don't really see really flat places, I would say. You can at least see some mountains in the distance, always. I don't know about that. Some of these things are a bit questionable. North Macedonia. Yeah, these license plates again, pretty much always you see just the standard European plate again. Yeah, kind of Hungarian bollard sometimes. A profile guardrails. Serbia always uses B profile. Yellow signs as some other kind of Balkan and that area countries, but you pretty much always, I think, actually not pretty much, but always see Cyrillic and Latin script here. It looks kind of unique, the language, but you can definitely mix it up with, for example, Serbian or even Bulgarian, Russian, a lot of different languages. North Macedonia always Gen 3. Rural coverage, usually on highways, because they didn't really do any kind of actual dirt road coverage. Yeah, the warning sign things, yellow filled in, and Greece also uses those. And we have Romania and Bulgaria left. Yeah, a lot of different generations. Sometimes you have even Gen 2, but mostly just Gen 4. You don't really see anything other than Gen 4 normally, but you can see other ones as well, just not Gen 1. Yeah, just the standard European plate again. It's a Romance language, so it's actually kind of similar to Italian sometimes, which is interesting. I mean, it's called Romania, if you did not notice that before. Holy poles, white painted buttons sometimes, but you see that in Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan, a lot of these. Maybe in Bulgaria sometimes, don't know. Yeah. There's large yellow pole sticker thing sometimes. You do see that on some poles, and it's unique to Romania. There's kind of different waystones. Yeah, thicker road lines, I guess so. And yeah, the road signs as well look quite recognizable. Just take a look at at the signs and you will always know those. Sign backs are often black, yeah, that is true. Red on white, and sometimes with a yellow frame, but I mean, saying often, but that, I mean, not often. In Romania, the bollards look like this. This is the kind of, yeah, Turkey has a really similar one, Australia, Netherlands, Belgium, and maybe some other countries as well have a really similar bollard, but in Romania, and also the countries that I mentioned, also in Romania, Netherlands, and Belgium, bollards are actually really rare. Maybe you can see them a bit more in the Netherlands, but in Belgium and Romania especially, they're really, really, really rare. Turkey and Australia do quite commonly use bollards, especially Australia. The yield sign, really, really, really thick, extremely thick red border. Yeah, architecture is kind of special here. Yeah, the Romanian landscape can be really different in some places, but often you do see this kind of agricultural landscape. They're kind of flat or slightly rolling hills, but not really. Don't know about the haystack stuff, and also don't know about this. And Bulgaria, yeah, only Gen 3 and Gen 4, but you do see Gen 3 quite often still, I would say. Typical European license plate design, just the language looks really, really, really similar to kind of Russian, but it is worth noting that this, well, you can't really call it a letter, but I mean, if you know anything about the Russian and Bulgarian language, but yeah, this letter is found in Bulgarian and Russian, but it's really uncommon in Russia, but you can sometimes see it in Bulgarian. So if you see this letter, then it's actually quite possible that you are in Bulgaria, not Russia. Red car, blue car, black car, no car, pretty much anything. Yeah, ulica is the word for street. You can do, you can see that the flag on the antenna. Yeah. The hook shape insulator thing that I mentioned for Latvia as well. Red and white chevrons, typically. Yeah, these signs look quite similar to the Romanian ones, but in Romania you will never see Cyrillic or any kind of Russian looking language. Because the Romanian language is actually not related to the Slavic language stuff at all. I don't think so anyway. 4 stripes on pedestrian signs normally. Yeah, bollards are also really rare in Bulgaria, I would say. Thin road lines. Yeah, poor quality roads, but sometimes you can see good quality roads. Sometimes you see bad quality, as pretty much every country other than, I don't know, the Netherlands, for example, has really good roads. And some other countries as well. These kind of trash bins that look like this. Albania, Serbia, North Macedonia, and especially Turkey. But in Turkey usually have text on it, which does even tell you the city. So Turkey also, I'm gonna be leaving for Asia, and yeah, this kind of stuff will be the Western Europe here, which is, I think, I will be doing the next episode for Western Europe, and then the 5th episode is gonna be Southern Europe, and then I think we'll get to probably Africa, and then Asia and Australia, and then we're done at some point. But I mean, just if you want to see all these, then maybe subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next videos. So maybe even turn on the little bell icon thing here to get the notifications as well. I mean, that would be really nice of you if you did that, and maybe even like this video as well if you did enjoy it and it was useful. I mean, you probably didn't enjoy it, but maybe it was useful. And probably was just a bit useful at least. Goodbye.